Hello there, people of the internet. So this right here is a 20-inch barrel inside of an AR platform. This right here is my M16 build. You guys have seen it before. We got a KP-15 lower on a PSA upper, and we got a lot of stuff going on with this rifle, but that's a topic for another video. But I always advocate that if somebody's going to be rocking a 5.56 platform rifle, for like a general purpose rifle, not anything that's specifically designed for, say, CQB purposes, you go ahead and you go with either a 16 or a 20-inch length barrel, just because you're going to get the best bang for your buck out of those barrel lengths. As you start cutting back your barrel lengths, you start seeing more and more like diminishing returns whenever it comes to the effectiveness of the 5.56 cartridge, just because those shorter barrel lengths means that you get less velocity with your cartridge, which is what gives 5.56 its power. So personally, I think the 20 inch is the best option, but if you go with a 16 inch, you're going to be absolutely fine at the distances that most people are even capable at shooting at. So unless you need like some sort of specific job to be done, then just as a general purpose, do a particular job sort of situation that you might potentially come across sort of rifle, it's a really, really good option. However, that being said, I was reading a comment, actually, not that long ago, and then I drank a bunch of coffee. But I was reading this comment, and I'm basically going to paraphrase here, but it more or less said that you are more likely to put a target down if you aim center mass and smack it with a full power rifle round than something like a 5.56 round, even out of a 20-inch barrel. And yes, yeah, I absolutely wholeheartedly 110% agree with that, to the point to where it gave me pause on my mindset of 5.56 being a really good option for most people. And don't get me wrong, for like 95% of the jobs, the 5.56 is capable of doing those jobs. However, I started to take some other things into consideration. One of the big considerations for 5.56 is that it's lighter weight, so you can carry more ammunition. Carrying, say, 10 magazines of ammo for an AR really is not that difficult of a job. That's 300 rounds plus your magazine inside of your rifle, if you decide to go that route. That's not that difficult of a job. Those are not that heavy. However, carrying 300 rounds of, say, 7.62 NATO is a much more daunting task. This right here is a Setme C308 rifle. You guys have also seen this one on the channel if you've been around for any real length of time. Typically, the magazines on these hold 20 rounds, so you got to carry more magazines, and they're just going to be heavier and bulkier, and it's going to be, like I said, a much more difficult task. However, one of the arguing points for the 5.56 rifle is that you get better follow-up shots, which is fantastic, fine and dandy. You're going to be able to send more lead downrange faster with those faster follow-up shots, simply because the less recoil means it takes less time to aim to line up your next shot and send that next round downrange. However, if you're going to need those faster follow-up shots, that means that you need more rounds onto your target. So if you're carrying, say, 50% more ammunition than your AR-15, but it takes 2 rounds to put down a target as to 1 from a 7.62 NATO rifle, then you're using essentially 100% additional ammunition. So it kind of more or less balances itself out in terms of what it is that you're going to be using. Now, there's other things that come into play, like, say, suppressive fire or breaking off from an engagement. You're going to want to need to send a lot of lead downrange, not necessarily to hit anything, but to suppress people, keep heads down, and to keep yourself from getting in harm's way by making that guy over there keep his head down because there's bullets flying at him. It's not necessarily always about getting a hit. But in the event that you do find yourself in a situation where you are getting a hit, yeah, the 55.6, or the 55.6, what the heck was that? That was the caffeine talking. But the 5.56, it 110% can do the job, but the likelihood of you getting a hit with 5.56 and that target immediately being put down, especially if it's like a drugged up or drunk scrawny guy, is a lot lower than getting a center mass hit with a 7.62 NATO, or maybe something like, I don't know, a 30-06 military surplus 30-06 M2 ball round. It's got the same ballistics as 7.62 NATO, so we'll go ahead and we'll pack that into the same category. Or something like 7.62 by 54R, which essentially has the same sort of power that you're going to find with that 7.62 NATO, or something like 303 British, or insert your choice of full power rifle cartridge here. If you smack something center mass with that much larger, much more powerful, much more capable cartridge, odds are that one shot is going to be enough to put down that target in comparison to maybe needing 2, potentially even 3 shots from your 5.56, especially if you're using something like an M4 barrel with green tip, which is like one of the worst combinations ever, and that is one of the things that has destroyed the reputations for the cartridge of 5.56. But something like this right here is just more likely to put down that target like immediately. And we can even go a little bit further beyond that. Even in a professional military engagement, most of your engagements are going to be taking place within like 300 yards, assuming that it's even person-on-person contact. It might just be drones in the air coming down on top of a squad of people. Who knows what's going on? But if it's person-to-person contact, odds are it's going to be within 300 yards. We see that even to this day. That is a very common occurrence, and most of those engagements are within 100 yards. So I'm willing to bet that a bunch of people that are watching this video and absorbing the information that I have to say are probably not running professional military rifles with a professional military force. Odds are, especially if you're inside the United States, odds are you would consider yourself one of the militia, or maybe a Minuteman, or something like that. And I'm willing to bet that the realistic dangers that you're going to be coming across will likely be within, I don't know, normal self-defense distances to probably about, I don't know, what's a normal yelling distance? I'd say about 50 yards or so, upon which it doesn't matter what barrel length or what cartridge or what anything it is that you're running. As a matter of fact, I would say that a really good one-stop shop is going to be your double-aught buckshot. Anyone who's actually used double-aught buckshot on an organic target, especially within like really close distances, knows how horribly gruesome this stuff is, and it drops basically anything it is that you shoot at. We all understand that it's a super powerful round, but boy, is it just ignored in the modern gun space just as a whole. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's so good at what it does that it's almost boring whenever it comes to the idea of using something like double-aught buck as a civilian to handle your problems, because that one shot of buckshot is probably going to stop even the most drugged out psychotic madman that's coming at you, especially because, like I said, at the distances that most of us realistically would ever have to send lead downrange at a target, it's going to be within 50 yards. And within that 50 yards, double-aught buck, even if you have like a non-choked shotgun with the cheapest double-aught buckshot, you aim center mass and you send that lead, and odds are at least a few pellets is going to smack that target. And if that doesn't happen, then unless you're rocking a single shot of some kind, I get the feeling that most of us for defensive purposes would pick up pump action. You're going to have an additional, if you're set up for hunting, 3 rounds, or if you're going to have like some sort of designated home defense shotgun, maybe you'll have 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds, maybe a magazine extension. The point is, you can send more lead downrange at that target, and having a tube full of buckshot gets sent downrange at your target at the realistic distances that most of us would expect a target to be at that would require us to send lead at it. Like, that thing's going to be going down, but odds are you're just going to need the one shot of buckshot, not unless there's multiple assailants. 1 shot per target. How about that? Is that a better explanation for you? But that's a really good example of a load that can stop a target right now versus something like a 5.56, which might very legitimately and potentially take multiple shots to stop a target. And that is a really good point that was brought up in the comments section down below. There's so much more that goes into having a gun in a gunfight than just hitting your target. And I get it, hitting your target and putting them down and getting them out of the fight is definitely the important one, but it's not the, or it's definitely the important job, but it's not the only job, because there's situations out there where you're going to need to be able to put lead down range for one reason or another. that goes beyond just hitting a target. Like if you have one of your friends pinned down by some guy with a Bubba SKS and he's hiding behind his clapped out 1992 Toyota that he got off the internet for $15,000 because somebody spray painted a camo and put a chair in the back seat and they're calling it a technical, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool, I'm gonna grab that right there." And he never bothered mounting anything to it. But actually, I'm kind of making fun of one particular person that I know, and you know exactly who you are. He watches my videos, so you know exactly who you are. Text me later, we'll go to the gun range. I promise I'll get you less upset. But if you're going to have this one guy with his Bubba SKS and his clapped out technical pinning down your buddy at wherever the hell he's at, and well, you might have to send some lead downrange. Let's say that drunk redneck there with his clapped out technical has other drunk rednecks in the vicinity, because they tend to come from like trailer parks and they all know each other and they're all like, "Hey, I hate you, but if you're ever in trouble, I will grab my double-barreled shotgun that I got from Sears in the 1960s, and I will absolutely come over and help you out." The point is, you might have to pin that guy down so your buddy can get out of there, or you might have to rapidly engage multiple targets so you and your buddy can leave. It's called breaking engagement, and there's a lot of ammo that is required for something like that, especially if you're going up against a bigger force. And that's just the reality of the situation. So even though that one round onto your target might take multiple rounds to put that target down, there's still a lot of benefits for your 5.56 platform. And 55 grain bullets through a 20-inch barrel, that is a really, really good option. It's a really cost-effective option. It turns, like, the 20-inch barrel turns range ammo into duty ammo. And that 3,200 feet per second, man, that is no joke. Anyone who's ever shot like a soft target, especially within like say 100 yards with a 55 grain bullet, that does some stuff from a 20-inch barrel. As a matter of fact, I would love to. You know what? Never mind. I'm not going to finish that statement. I think I've made my point here. Big benefits for everything, but I love the argument that you're most likely to put down a target with a full power rifle round. And in most of our situations, most of our engagements, we're not going to have to be doing suppressive fire or anything like that. So a full power rifle round is a lot more viable of an option than I originally gave it credit for. And it's to the point to where I feel like I had to make a full-fledged video about that, because like 95% of the time, we're going to be like within yelling distances of probably about 10 yards or so, or even closer than that. And they're going to end up drawing something, and then you're going to have to end up drawing something. Maybe they got some buddies hidden around somewhere. Who knows what it is that you're going to have going on. But odds are you're going to be of the capability to be able to make a shot onto your target and have that shot put down the target immediately without that target presenting any more danger. And you're going to be able to do that with a full power rifle round, or double-aught buckshot, which I think is one of the most underrated cartridges out there. As a matter of fact, I might make a full-fledged video about that. As a matter of fact, I think I will. I'm going to go ahead and go film that right now. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is a link to all sorts of stuff to check it out. I'm going to go ahead and move my shotgun right here for the next video. Perfect. I will see you guys on the next episode.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.